Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company, and we're doing things a little bit different today. Not only is it an unboxing, but this is my first review of a watch I designed. That's right, we are talking about the Sartory Billard SB04 TTWTM Mosso Special Edition. This started as an idea to provide a watch that members of my Facebook group could buy to be sort of part of the club, and it kind of expanded into a series of unique designs that we're going to make available broadly. And I want to be clear about one thing. I don't get a cent from this. This is not a business partnership. This is not a ploy to get your money. Every cent goes to the creators. And in this case, the name on the dial, on the box, on the papers, Armand Billard, he is the sole beneficiary. If you decide to grace this company with your business, the watch you will get is one that I designed, and that is my role. That is my part in this small story. The watch is beautifully done, and we're going to show you mine as the unboxing continues, but we do have several variants. You can sort of see them hiding off to the side. I'm not going to preempt the variants just yet. The box is actually made by Latour. It's like most parts of this watch, made by people Armand knows, and a small French craftsman creates this lovely box. There's something to be said for minimalist packaging, enough to feel special, not so much to create clutter. Now you've got the warranty card right here. This is what it's going to look like. Mine's actually the prototype, so it's 00 of 25. We're going to keep it to 25 because we want it to be special. And Armand is a very approachable dude. He gives you his phone, he gives you his email, and of course, he is immediately answerable. Reach out to him and he will jump back even at weird hours of the night. He's incredibly accessible, incredibly friendly, and incredibly helpful. Now, jumping a little bit deeper into the unboxing, we get to the business end of the packaging. All this is silk. It looks and feels impressive. Simple, minimal, but luxurious without a doubt. And then we get to the core model. This was the first one I designed and the one I envisioned as the watch I would wear. Granted, not everyone thought purple was a natural choice for luxury, but I actually preempted our own 1916 company stablemate de Bethune in the launch of this purple dial SB04 TTWTM Mosso Special Edition. So this is based on the SB04 model, which was really Armand's breakout reference. Prior to this, he had created a lot of watches that he thought were very avant-garde, very aggressive, very modern, tonneau cases, form cases. This was his first take on classical simplicity, and I told him I wanted something like a 1950s dress watch on steroids. So we started with the SB04. A few things I wanted, obviously the color purple, but I also wanted the contrast with rose gold. And so Armand makes all of the dial furniture himself. So the grille in rose gold with the sectors, the Breguet numerals, and the individual indices. You can see how that sits three-dimensional on the dial base. He also makes the hands, cutting them, beveling them, skeletonizing them, and polishing them. And he is an industrial designer by training, but an artisan by, I would say, simple ingenuity and determination. He taught himself this craft, and he has become exceptionally proficient at it. Now, beneath, we have another bit of a rock star name from the industry. Kari Voudelaine and Comblamin Cadran did the dial base. So you can see that lovely purple, this is actually Kari's Comblamin dial factory. And we wanted a very simple satination below the numerals, but then a very rough, almost chiseled center for contrast. And once we started mocking up the design, I thought, you know what we really need? This is very classical, especially with the Note 8 dial. We need a mid-century 50s style crosshair that would really pop. And so that's the direction we took with the center dial. And that was it. We didn't want to over-design. We wanted to stop while we were ahead with something that was deeply compelling by virtue of its high contrast, elegance, and simplicity. You could see that Armand uses a bubble-like sapphire, a little bit like a vintage plexiglass to give it that old-time look, a media-blasted crown, and then we have a case that is immensely sophisticated. You can see a double gadroon for the bezel, as well as the fact that the case band is actually recessed and media-blasted. The lug profiles and case back are satinated. Then the lug bevels and the bezel are polished. So this is a triple finished case. It's 40 millimeters in diameter as I measure it with my calipers, 11.3 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, I measure it 45 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. One note, because this is a prototype and effectively the first of the run, and the others I'm going to show to you are also unnumbered prototypes, we do have one element that's yet to be resolved, which is the inclusion of a rose gold colored stitch in the strap. So my vision was always that the colors of the dial would be mirrored in the strap, so production will be purple with rose and so on based on the other dials. Now the movement is fascinating. This is a lug-to-lug. It's 25.6 millimeters, so it's built as a drop-in replacement for the ETA 2892, but whereas that has a 42-hour power reserve, this has a 68-hour power reserve, plus or minus 5. In my experience, it'll actually run for 70 before it stops. It uses a micrometric eccentric screw adjustment system, but with Edicron for fine-tuning and bead adjustment. There's a lovely sort of fluted and gold-toned gilded rotor that is circumferential with the mass on one side, which creates sort of an infinity profile. It is a rotor with no beginning and no end, and it energizes this watch, which has a 4 Hertz beat rate and does feature stop seconds for precise setting. You can see the case back. Each piece is uniquely fabricated in France. Sartory Billard, Armand is the man on that front. Even the buckle is a bespoke piece. You can see no generic componentry here. We have the company logo with a contrast of satin and polish. I'll throw the watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and a really fun piece because it wears so easily under a cuff. It is a dress watch, but it's a sporty dress watch. I didn't want something you'd need to put on a tuxedo to wear. I wanted casual dress. So let's face it, most of us aren't constantly engaged in sports. When I'm at the office, when I'm at a restaurant, when I'm out with friends, I'm mostly just enjoying life casually. So short of diving, flying, or some sort of crazy occupation like spelunking or race car driver, a steel dress watch can really be your everyday, and that was the intent here. So we have a couple of different takes on this watch, and I'm going to show you all of them. This is the purple Pantone 269C. That's the heart and soul of the collection, but I also wanted people to have other options. So a very conservative option for those of you who don't want a purple watch, we went with a lovely slate gray dial while preserving all of the design elements but toning down the color. Now if you want to kick it up a notch, I honestly think that the next big thing in dials is either going to be purple or it's going to be this, a lovely, rich, luxurious and opulent brown bronze. So here we have brown, we have the same texture, we have the same fundamental design, and of course there's that distinction between the hour track and the center dial, but this one really pops in person, and along with the red, I think this is the greatest contrast you're going to see between the texture underneath the hours and the texture at center. A really cool piece, and again you'll have that contrasting stitch. Now, sticking still with darker colors, this one we call the British Racing Green. And I don't know how green it comes across on screen, but in person it really is quite dark green. Evergreen is the best way to describe it. And here we have a really handsome contrast that probably is the second richest after the royal purple. This is a really high contrast look, and I think in terms of contrast, this is the strongest of all the offerings. But I do have to say there is a very unique experience, a memorable experience to be had when you find something you'd seen previously in photos and it turns out to be completely different in person. And this racing red, which I've nicknamed the Cartier, this is the watch that I think surprised me the most, because red dials are not a new thing, but the degree of contrast between the center and the periphery, as well as the way it pairs, not in contrast, but in complementary fashion with the rose gold, this really does feel like something Louis Cartier would design if he were alive and well today, and I think this was the big surprise among the bunch. So there are 5 different options here, and they all cost the same amount, about 4,100 euro. We wanted it to be something you could buy without making a gigantic household purchase decision or altering your financial future. So about 4,100 Swiss franc or 4,100 euro is what it's going to cost. And if you go to Armand's website, Sartory Billard, you will find there's a collaborations menu at the top. Pull that down, Tim Mosso, and you can see where you can buy this. Now, the idea initially, and you could see that it references my Facebook group on the back. The idea was that this would be something for my Facebook groupies to be a member of the club. You remember my Season 1 watch that I created with Dan Reuter, this one right here? This was Dan's design, but with my colors. This is much more my vision right here, and this is the Season 2 watch. So Talking Time with Tim Mosso, you don't have to be a member of the Facebook group, but we would love to have you. And we try to be a fun, upbeat, and approachable wristwatch Facebook group. There is no negativity, no attacks, no sourness. And this watch, with its color and its character and its cheerful charm, I think reflects what we love so much about the Facebook group. Finally, you get this little letter from Armand when you buy the watch, and he breaks down everything that makes it special. Everything that you see, case, dial, buckle, hands, the rose gold grill with the numerals, is handmade. The only part of the watch that is not handmade is the movement itself. So you'll get a personally addressed letter, and as you can see, not an industrial product. Every single person involved and every organization, a little bit like a miniature French-based MB&F, everyone who makes the case, crown, screws, polishing, finishing on the case, the manufacturing of the box and the packaging, which doubles as a pen box once you receive the watch, by the way. All of that. Scarlett of Paris makes the strap, and Bouveret provide additional straps, and La Jouperet provides the automatic movement. And then he does the assembly and the adjustment himself. And I'll be totally honest, though he represents that the watch will gain between 0 and 10 seconds a day and never lose time, my experience is that it actually runs COSC, so quite a bit better. He's being a bit modest there. And it's nice to get a personally addressed and personally signed letter from the creator. And by the way, FYI, he says, avoid watch winders, adding to the scholarship on that topic. Just a lot of fun, very special, and very bespoke. This is not a profit play for me. I don't get a cent. This is all for Armand, and we do a Season 3 watch. All the proceeds from that will go to that creator. My way of getting a toehold in the world of watch design, and also sort of a little bit of a thank you to my Facebook groupies, you out there, and a patronage product for creators that I really love. And Armand is both a great artisan and a great person. So if you are interested, again, head over to Sartory Billard and check out Collaboration's Tim Mosso Special Edition. Maybe you can even send me a wrist shot if you decide to pull the trigger. And you know what? Let me give you one more of mine. Time out, Tim out, and thanks for logging on.